What do we got in the house? We got some people. Hey, y'all. My name is Fred Rea, founder of Rain City. I come from my recliner with a White Claw in hand. This is the first inaugural Real Talk with Rain City. I couldn't remember the name. And really, all we're doing is kind of shooting the shit with industry professionals that know what they're doing, that are working hard, and learn a little bit about life and what they're doing in their lives personally, but also professionally, and hopefully having a little bit of fun. And hopefully we'll add a little bit of value. If not, maybe you can just have a drink or two with us and hang out. So anyway, I got two dudes that are with me. I've known them both for a long time. Love them dearly. They're also, rock stars in their own deal. Ryan Morell, he is the boss of Rain City down in Oregon. He lives in Vancouver, so not quite an Oregon guy, but we'll let that pass. And we got Ian Morell, CEO of Caliber Real Estate. He has been my partner for, I don't know, it's been a while, right?
13, right?
13?
So,
damn.
2013?
We're old. All right. What are you guys drinking?
This is Sam Adams, and then I got a little Modelo back here. And then we'll see where we go from there.
We'll see where we go from there. Let's see how fast it goes.
Yep.
You got
Jameson on the rocks.
There you go.
It's gonna be my drink of choice through this whole thing. So.
Cheers, y'all. So a little bit of housekeeping. If you have questions, put them in the Q&A box. If you want to chat people, don't be a dickhead. We are going to be at the end of this. We're going to be trying to do a little bit of live questions. So if hopefully you have video and audio that works. If not, we might have to pass on you. But if you have any questions, definitely get them on there. We have a few questions that I'm already going to talk with these guys and ask and whatnot. But if you have anything specific you want to ask about whatever, just go ahead and ask, and we'll try to make it happen.
Are they asking on the Q&A box, right? Or the
yeah, they're asking the Q&A box, but we're going to try to bring them into the video. So if you have a drink, that'd be even better. So the first question, I think, is the most important question. So in quarantine, as we all know, like, people are relegating to buying horse clippers at pet stores and whatnot. Mr. Ian Morell, when are you going to get this beautiful dude just like us?
I got a little FOMO when Ryan shaved his head, and seeing you two sexy bald men on here right now, it brings that FOMO back. But I don't think she would accept me at all. I think it'd be pretty ugly. And I think I'm going to go the opposite direction and just grow it out. I mean, I think this is the time.
Really? Just like the whole deal, like the whole meal deal right there?
Can you imagine if this got out of control? It would be pretty scary to look at, I feel like. So I just might keep this groomed and just let this go a little bit.
Well, I had to do this because, Ian has a beautiful head of hair, and, if you want to do it, but I just couldn't stand it anymore. So, my wife didn't really necessarily want me to do it. I just kind of did it. Ended up working out all right, but this is brand new. I know there's a lot of people on here that probably know me that have never seen me like this. This is the first time I've ever done it. So
it looks good. Don't go back.
You look really good. You look really good for sure. And I think Ian's just probably trying to hide a lump or two in there, but we'll let it pass.
Yeah, it's starting to get a little light, but trying to hold on to all he could there at the end. No,
come back. So for those of you that don't know Ryan and Ian, obviously they're brothers. I thought they were 16 months apart, but they're actually 14 months apart.
Yeah.
That's, man, I don't know how grown up. I know you guys now. Grown up with you guys as children, 14 apart. I feel bad for your parents. Like, they had a handful, but I'm sure you guys grew up in Everett, right? So you're local. What's one or two of the most memorable PG-13 that we can tell brother stories?
Oh man,
you want to start, Ryan, or you want me to take this?
Why don't you start? There's just so many. I mean, yeah.
So
go ahead.
I think often we used to compete a lot in sports. I felt like 80% of our day we were outside, and whether we were playing baseball or football, or we would make up games. We were always, there was two other local kids that lived a couple houses down. The four of us would just play all day and compete. And I think that really kind of helped us as competitors, competing in everything. But there's one particular memory. Ryan and I, we'd be best buds and then we'd be worst enemies, like in the same day. And there were times where we'd fight, and whoever had the most adrenaline at the time could take the other one down. But then I would have to get up and run because I just passed all the adrenaline to him, and his rage would come out. And so I remember this one time where Ryan was coming after me, and I literally hid in our pantry, which you would have never thought to look there because it was so small. We had a small little house, but I managed to fit in there and wait like 2 hours until my mom came home so he couldn't retaliate. And that was a fun memory.
So were you just like afraid that he was just gonna whoop you or something?
Oh yeah, he's always been bigger than me. He's 14 months older, and he could crush me. But you know, when I was at my like rage point, like he would be a little scared. But then again, I would give it to him. I'd get him on the ground, and then I would just have to book it because I knew that it was coming. I think I locked you outside one time in your underwear on the front porch, and we lived right across the street from a church, right? So imagine like there's a church and people are in the parking lot was like directly across the street, and Ryan's sitting there pounding on the door, screaming, just threatening to kill me in his underwear. And you know, that was a moment where like the minute he gets in the house, I better run or he's gonna crush me. Plenty of those stories.
100% true.
That's a good one.
Yeah. You know, for me, I think it was more like just growing up in downtown Everett. I mean, you know, the house that we lived in for 15 years, 16 years, once we were little, really little. I mean, I think we moved when I was 17 and Ian was 16. We lived in a 900 square foot house right on, you know, 25th and Lombard down by Clark Park, which was at that time completely gang, you know, occupied. And there's these people, homeless people, and they used to call themselves the park rats. And I think Ian got jumped a couple times just walking home from school. Nobody ever messed with me because I think I'm just bigger, but Ian, for some reason, he just was a target.
Ryan, real quick.
Yeah.
Megan, 2212 Lombard is where you live. We grew up at 2520 Lombard. So
yeah,
we delivered papers to your house, actually. That was our first.
That's awesome.
We had a paper right there. That's right. That's awesome. Yeah, it was good times. I mean, there's so many memories that we had. And I mean, we had a good childhood. We didn't have a lot, but I mean, we generally we lived, you know, it was fun. So, and being downtown Everett, I mean, what else could go wrong, right?
Yeah, there's a little bit of everything.
So living down in Portland now, or the Portland area, like last time I was up there, it was probably, I think I drove by the house like 5 or 6 years ago, and I just could not believe like the growth that has happened there. It was just insane. It's nuts. And then Ian, didn't you say our old house went to foreclosure, went to the auction?
No, it ended up getting purchased like pre-foreclosure, but it was.
Oh, okay.
It was
Yeah,
pretty
that would've
neat.
been.
I didn't realize it until after it had traded. That would have been a fun one to pick up.
Yeah.
You're like, hey.
Yeah.
That would kind of
Hey,
hold your
Mom.
old house and rent it out, you know?
That was sleepover one more time.
Yeah. Or, you know, maybe I'll, you know, get done going paintballing and get cornered by the police right in your front yard. That was fun too. I mean, we have so many memories. It's crazy.
That's awesome. Actually, I took my kids through my childhood house probably like a year and a half ago, and I lived there for 18 years. It was kind of weird to walk through it and have so much be the same, so much be different. It's kind of crazy. Okay, so I think we got right around 60, 70, 70 participants. So I think we got most everybody here. You know, again, my name is Fred Rea, founder of Rain City Capital, Northwest local hard money lender that's actually still doing loans. Yay! And then on the call, we got two brothers who, you know, each of them on their own individually have flipped, you know, hundreds of houses, but also just been, you know, veterans to this business for a long period of time. Ryan, I've had the pleasure of working with him for a little over almost 5 years now.
It's been a little over 5.
Yeah, and you know, he has been you know, basically Rain City and Portland. He runs a shop down there. And boy, does he crush it. He's been our top producer by far for many years running. And then his brother, Lil Bro, Ian Morell, CEO of Caliber Real Estate. We've been partners since 2013. I didn't know it was that long ago. It's kind of sad. And he's also flipped over 100 homes, and it's currently just crushing in the market. It has lots of doors. They're both going through flips or building homes right now. So these are guys that, aren't sitting around. And yeah, man, we just want to hang out. Hopefully you guys have a drink of some sort. If you don't drink alcohol, get your iced tea and water, whatever, and or let's try to make something happen. So I got some questions for you that I didn't tell you beforehand, but I might leave those until you guys have a couple more drinks. We've been under quarantine for a month. What's the strangest thing that either of you guys have dealt with or handled or uncovered during this quarantine time?
Like go to a restaurant or a bar or a movie. It's been odd just to be able to just to kick back and not be able to do anything. I'm also an avid golfer. I love I play golf at least once a week, and my wife has a suppressed immune system, so I've been kind of more sheltered at home, right? So can't play golf with my friends. It's kind of been lonely that way, but I've been able to kind of get out and do that a little bit on my own. But it's just weird going to the store and seeing everybody in masks and feeling like if I touch that person, I'm going to get what they have. It's this thing where you just it's weird to have to stay, keep that distance. And yeah, it's just a weird energy right now. Everybody is in fear and there's a lot going on, but I think just not being able to get out and just being completely feeling trapped at home, that's been kind of the hardest thing for me.
Well, dude, you're the hugger, right? You're the guy that's like, hey, what's going on? And hugs everybody. And now you're like, oh.
Yeah, it's
I'm not so sure I want to do that yet.
It'd be weird to come out of this. I'm my friends are like, no, I'm good.
Chrono 5. What about you, Ian?
Strangest thing, I think just honestly, it is truly like Groundhog's Day. I lose track of what day it is, and even the weekends feel the same. It's I just feel like I thought I was just going to be hanging out, playing a lot of video games and, relaxing, but I feel like I haven't really been relaxing very much, and there's a lot going on. So I think I'm shocked with how busy I am, how much I have going, and staying home. But I mean, I guess we're more efficient, right? With all the traveling that we're not doing, and my alcohol consumption's going up, my sleeping patterns are all over the place. So it's kind of, some changes from that perspective, but it's definitely a challenge.
Yeah, for sure. So what are the habits do you think that you've created now that will potentially carry over into the next 6-12 months or just into the future? Has there been anything that you've been like, well, shit, I'm doing that might stick. That might work.
Yeah, I actually was proactive when this started to start developing positive habits. And that was kind of when I'm talking to my teammates and everything, I was coaching them on take this time to start developing habits, things that you have created excuses for in the past and you have absolutely no excuses for anymore, right? So I read every single day, I journal every single day, and I Peloton is my new thing. I'm 30 days straight of Peloton now. So every
you got a Peloton?
Peloton, yeah, it's the best. I'm telling you right now, it's the best.
Dang.
It's nice and easy. Sometimes it's a 20-minute thing, sometimes it's an hour, but I literally will work out, read, and journal every single day, and I haven't missed a day since this started. And I think that that's something that it's become once that habit's developed, I'm hoping it's something I'm going to take with me forever.
Dude, that is fantastic. I think you're probably in the vast minority because, I used to work out a bunch and I used to not drink very much. And now I'm sitting here, I'm pretty sure I'm up at least 10 pounds. I'm working on that COVID-19 show.
Halfway there.
I've consumed more alcohol in the last 30 days than I have in the last 2 years. Anyway.
I'm still with you on that, though. I mean, just because I'm working out doesn't mean I'm not it's like this losing battle I'm trying to run off.
I know, you're just trying to keep it even.
Oh, yeah. And that's exactly what's happening.
Well, you're right.
Well, I think so. I'm very much a social drinker. I always have booze and beer at my house, but I never really drink it unless somebody comes over. But I've been drinking a lot, like just, it's there, something to do, like, socializing however I can online. So, I mean, but it's nice to actually relax with that. I'm not saying that that's going to be a great habit, like leaving this. I don't want to make that a habit, but definitely has picked that up a little bit. But for me, it's like more, you realize like how busy life is until you get into a situation like this where it kind of forces you to slow down. So for me, it's like, it's spending time with my family, to be honest with you. It's been amazing. Like, I've been able to spend a lot more quality time with them, play video games with my son. He's 10. We go on walks almost every day. We try to get outside if we can, if the weather's nice. And I'm really just treasuring that time right now. And also building, stronger relationship with my wife has been great. It's so, we try to do everything together, playing games, things like that. So I'm hoping that that's a habit that I'm going to take with me. But I've also been able to kind of stay a little bit more organized with my day, trying to organize more. Okay, what am I going to try to accomplish today? Now that I have more time, like, I don't want to be bored. I want to fill it. I'm not the most organized person in the world, Fred. You can attest to that. And that's why I have some amazing people that work with me. But it's kind of forced me to be a little more organized, and that's a good thing. It's a positive thing. So if anything, I can try to take anything positive out of this time. That's, I'm going to try to take full advantage of it. I definitely want to, it's funny because like, I'm not the person to kind of, create a habit of working out all the time. Like and I joined a gym like literally a month or two prior to this happening, and I was hitting it. I was crushing it. I felt so good. I get up in the morning, and then this hit, and I'm just like, okay,
shit.
Well, at least I'm walking. Yeah. So I shut down, but yeah, it's been good though. I mean, just getting outside, trying to get outside as much as I can.
That's good. That's spend time with family. That's definitely important.
What about
That's
you,
something to
Fred?
think about. Me?
You answer that question.
So my mental health has definitely been, this is the strangest thing, not like the habit. Every habit I've received out of this is bad, except for being on the phone more than usual, and networking more. But so I have 2 chromies. And so I sit outside. So I sit in this recliner all day, every day, and I'll show you guys. There's I'm not sure how big my screen is, but that's my front gate, my grass and whatnot. And there are these 2 crows that basically live at my house, front yard, backyard. They're just kind of going in there. And for the first, couple of weeks, they were like digging in my plants, and I was like, I just planted these plants, and I paid a freaking arm and a leg for these things. I'm like, dude, stop pulling out my lavender plants, bro. So whenever they would pull out my lavender plants, I'd knock really hard on the window and they'd fly away. And now they just stay in the grass. They stay where they're supposed to. And yeah, well, I'm not really training them. I mean, I guess if knocking on the window is training them, I've done that. But they're always here. They're here every day. If they're not, then I'm like, hey, where's my chromies at? And my wife named them Billy and Sue. So that's probably the strangest thing that's come out of quarantine. I know my wildlife pretty well because I'm sitting here looking out the window all day.
That's
awesome. Okay, so let's get into some like real kind of business type of stuff. So Governor Inslee says, hey, we're going to start some things back up, right? We're going to open up state parks. We're going to start construction. What do you think is going to be, how do you think the real estate market's going to contend, once we kind of start opening things back up? What do you guys see happening, and what are the opportunities, for the people on this call? What are the opportunities that you think are going to come ahead that maybe people aren't looking at right now?
Go ahead, Ian, you want to start?
Sure. I think there's going to be some opportunities. First of all, I want to say I feel like this is a great opportunity to sell your house right now. If you look back at every recession, the people that sold before the recession or at the beginning of the recession are the people that retain more. earnings on their assets. And I was looking today, we still have under 1 month of inventory right now, which is crazy. In King County, that is. So the rest of the country, the average is 5 to 6 months, and we're still King County under 1 month. And so I don't think it's going to last like very long. I don't think it's going to be like that for long. So I think that if you're looking to sell, right now is the time to sell. I think that if you're looking to buy, I think I'm going to hold out a little bit longer. As far as construction, I do not think the construction prices are going to necessarily go down. I think there's still a huge demand. The minute that this releases, there's going to be a huge demand. I was talking to a builder friend of mine, and he told me last week, that he's planning on coming out the gate paying his crew a premium because he doesn't want to have to compete for them, because there's a lot of builders out there. There's a huge demand of people looking for crews to get started and hit the ground running. So I don't think the prices are going to drop in construction. That's my personal opinion. And I think that if you're looking to sell, you should sell right now.
Still ready.
Yeah, I agree. Anything that's, I try to keep in touch with investors daily to try to figure out what's going on in the market. Aside from my own deals, I got my own personal experience, but, our investors are key, right? I mean, I get a lot of information, what's going on. Right now, inventory down in Portland is pretty close to the same. There's not a lot. There's people that are still looking for places to live, and things are just flying off the shelf. So if you have a project, same thing. I recommend selling now. Who knows what's going to happen months to come? 6 months down the road, it's really, really hard to tell, right? So for me personally, I'm taking more of a conservative approach. If I do get into a deal right now, it's going to be most likely something that's not a huge project, something that's going to be kind of more of a quick in and out, or something I'm willing to hold for a little while just to kind of see what happens. But I still have to be in it, right? Unfortunately, I have 2 new builds in Tacoma right now that we literally just got financing for prior to everything going down. So I'm thankful to get financing for it. But the non-work, I think our budget's kind of screwed a little bit. I don't know what's going to happen with materials. Is it going to be like toilet paper, like when we're able to get back into like new construction or any sort of like, what's the materials going to be like? I just went to Home Depot yesterday or day before yesterday, took my son, and there was an hour wait just to get into the door, and they were, 100 people at a time. And it's just like, I cannot imagine what this is going to be like after it's all over. I just think that I think projects are going to take a little longer, might be a little bit more expensive. But overall, I mean, the way to handle this right now is just kind of take a step day by day, right? Step by step, try to, consider what's going on and act. And that's like, if you've got a project, like for instance, I have a project right now in Southeast Portland. The tenant just got out. I was thankful actually he got out, and we're going to kind of clean it up and just put it on the market as is. It needs a lot of work. I really don't want to kind of dabble in that area right now because I just don't know what's going to happen. So if I can just put it on the market and walk away and make a few bucks, that's a win for me right now. So it's hard to tell, it's really, really tough, but I think being a little bit more conservative right now, waiting for those opportunities to come at the end of this, and to see what kind of opportunities there are, is the way to go.
So let's just assume that, and thank you guys for that. I appreciate it. Let's just assume that, you're in a project right now. Like, I mean, you're in that construction deal. Like, what's the, maybe like the top 2 pieces of advice you give to anybody that's currently in a project or that has some sort of like mid-construction deal? Like, how would you be tackling the stuff that you're doing now? Is there anything tactical or, some sort of, like little workarounds that you guys have been able to figure out?
Go ahead, Ian. I'll let you take this one.
So luckily this is crazy, but I don't think in the last 10 years of my flipping career, I've ever had one flip going. I have one flip right now. Now it happens to be, the rehab budget is $450,000. It's a property. It's a property over in Magnolia. And I think we acquired it for $450,000. And we're looking for like that 1.5 exit. So that's a little nerve wracking, but we had like 5% of the framing left, and then we could go in and get electrical and plumbing. And I believe those are essential, so we can still get our permits for electrical and plumbing according to Dave, but we can't get the framing completed. So I think that our plan is to just make sure, obviously, you're prepared so that the minute that it lifts on day one, we have our guys out there. So we're talking to our crew. We know exactly what the plan is. Where in the past, we were always so proactive with our projects. We were just kind of running. We had a bunch going on, and you would almost react to your phone call ringing and what you need at a certain time. This is probably, if any time, like we have everything completely laid out on how to get this thing done in record time. But I mean, I think the biggest thing is just you can't stress about it. It is what it is. And you're stuck alongside everyone else. And you could take the situation and you could lose sleep and you can stress, or you can just say, we'll just be prepared for when it turns, and we'll get out of this thing as quick as we can, but keep a level head about it. I think that's the important part.
Yeah. And I think like in Portland right now, it's not, construction's still going, it's a little different than Washington. So, people are still working on their projects. They're not really, I from, a poll I've taken from a few investors that have some bigger projects going on right now, things have kind of been a little slower. But overall, like, contractors are wanting to work right now. I mean, they're lucky to be in Oregon because they can, but it's tough. It's one of those things that you don't know what's going to happen. For me personally, I always take the more conservative approach. I'm not one to kind of dive headfirst in with super optimism. But yeah, I'm in the same boat, Ian. I got 2 right now, and then I've got 2 new construction deals. And one of them is a major fixer, but our major is more like 100, not 450.
Yeah.
That's true. But for a 2-in-1, 100's a lot. So it definitely, we're just not sure. For us personally, what we're doing is we are trying to find a way to get out. That's just what we're doing. I know that other investors are a lot more optimistic, and they could be 100% right. But I just don't know what's going to happen in the months to come. I know that Inslee's saying, May, but I just don't think that's going to, I don't know, based on what's going on right now, I don't know if that's actually realistic.
I heard a quote that I've been repeating as much as I can. It was one of the first webinars that I heard through all this. And they said, if you're not overreacting, you're underreacting. And like, I've been trying to live by that. I'm making decisions that some people might think are kind of crazy. And I hope I'm wrong, but I'd rather be preparing, for the worst and be wrong and than the opposite. So I completely agree with you.
For sure.
Yeah.
So and when people are selling houses, what are you guys hearing or seeing, just in financing in general? I know I hear that, like closings are being extended, but, particularly the jumbo market, non-QM being completely gone. What are you guys seeing on that end? And I guess, how are you guys tackling that?
So it's pretty nerve-wracking on the jumbo side, even more so that we're going to be selling this $1.6 million house. And I think that the answer for me is look at what Chase is doing, look at what Wells Fargo is doing, some of the larger banks. I feel like everyone is watching them. And, obviously there's some banks in a position where they cannot sell. The secondary market will not allow them, and they just have to shut down and they can no longer fund loans. But some of those big banks that have large balance sheet, they're just sitting back and in the same, like overreacting, like we just talked about, and being conservative. And Chase just, I think last week, that they're not extending locks anymore. So imagine being in that I was directly hit by that. I'm in the middle of a refinance, and my loan officer tells me we can't extend your lock. So for the time being, Chase decides that they're not going to allow me to complete my refinance, and I'm just done. So, that's scary if you think about it. They're no longer making exceptions, and they're obviously more conservative on their loan to value requirements. And so I'm hoping that they open up and that others see and others follow, but definitely a little concerned about the jumbo market for sure. Now there is an expanding conforming, I'm sure there's loan officers on this, but I think it's 740, someone can go on the chat box and correct me, 741,000 or something like that is still considered a Fannie Mae expanded jumbo conforming. And so if you're looking at $1 million property, you could look at getting like a 740, there it is. Thanks, Cody. $741,000 first and get a second mortgage. There's still lenders out there doing seconds behind for 250 or 300,000 or whatever you need to bridge the gap. And of course your down payment as well. So King, Snohomish, and Pierce County at 741,000. So that product is still available.
That's good to know.
That's pretty strong. I didn't know it was actually that high. So
it's still Fannie Mae. So we're good to go. So just keep that in mind. So again, if my buyer's looking to buy my place for 1.5, and Cody, answer if you know this, HELOCs, you just answered. Thank you, sir. 350 to 5,000 in second position, right? So if we can do 90% combined loan to value, so someone can still see, Cody, thank you. Just keep that coming. If someone can put 10% down on this place, right? And then put up to $500,000 down and still able to finance $741,000. So essentially the $1.3 million purchase price is still, there's still solutions for it. $1.4 million through Fannie Mae. So.
God. Dang, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. And as a seller right now, I mean, I know that, you know, the number one thing is like, okay, what's the financing like for the buyer, right? You can get an offer real quick, but what's their strength? What is the, I have an investor that told me that they took 15K less of an offer because they were going conventional, putting 20% down. There's just, you have to kind of take that into consideration right now, because you don't want to get 45 days down the road and realize that, oh, this buyer's not going to be able to close. Now I got to put it back on the market, lost those other buyers that I had in line. So sometimes right now it's almost worth taking 5, 10, 15K less than what you're asking to just get it done, because you just don't know what's going to happen. Yeah. You got to be smart about it. You just got to think about, like, that was kind of my concern at front, right? At first is when I put something on the market, I have a lot of real estate agents that I have contacts with. They're like, oh, the market's so hot. It's going. It's like, yeah, but have they closed? Have they gone through the whole process? And they are actually getting through. But I'm still, months down the road, we don't know what's going to happen. So we have to still kind of be smart and think about, what's the strength of the buyer? That's a very important question right now.
Yeah.
And cash offers are more valuable now than they ever have been before. We just accepted one. We accepted an offer $20,000 lower than conventional, just because we were afraid. It was kind of a funky, it was a mobile home, some funky things going on with it. But definitely value your cash offers with quick closings a lot more than you used to.
Yeah, for sure. Okay. See, this is real talk right here. We're learning stuff right now. So let's learn something about these guys. And this is actually like a good litmus test to people. I know, Ian, you've used this a bunch. It's one of my favorite questions too. What was your first job?
Go ahead, Ryan. Same job.
Same job. McDonald's.
Yes.
I was running that. We were running that drive-through. You know what I mean? Like, business. I got hired at 15 years old. It was McDonald's that was like literally 2 blocks from our house. And then, we were just kind of hanging out, and Ian was like, let's do this. And so you were like 14.
Yeah. Ryan got me. It was an illegal move there. You got me.
You were,
under the employment limit. And, yeah, we actually, we had a paper route before that. Like my mom, actually, she's on the call. Hi, Mom. My mom actually, if we wanted to play select soccer, which cost money, and we didn't have a whole lot of it, we had to deliver papers, which was waking up at like 4 something in the morning and just rolling papers. I mean, it was miserable if you're a kid and you stay up late. And then we had to go clean condo building on the weekends. So we would go, my mom would pack up her car and we'd go to this condominium in Queen Anne. I don't remember how many floors it was, like 8 floors, maybe not that many. And we used to have to vacuum and dust and like on the weekends. And so, that was what we had to do to play sports. And maybe that had something to do with the reason why we started working at McDonald's. Like, I don't think our parents ever told us we had to work. We wanted to work the minute we could. And I kind of have a funny story. McDonald's, and this was actually 26 in Lombard, still there for you Lombard folks. I had to be in what's called the hole, right? So like there's two different drive-throughs. There's the drive-through where you pay in the back, and the drive-through where you get your food. No one wanted to go in the hole in the back because it's lonely. No one's back there. You're back there for hours just punching the food orders in. And I kind of hit puberty a little bit later. I think I was like 15 when my voice changed. And so I was sitting there every day. I would say, "Hey, welcome to McDonald's, gonna take your order." And they would call me ma'am, like every day. It was just, everyone thought I was a female. And they would pull up to the window and they'd see this like 14-year-old skinny, kid behind. I remember like having a kid from high school so humiliating. He's like, "Hey bro, like you sound like a girl." And I was like, "Thanks." Like, what do you say to that? But yeah, so I was working the back drive-through. Ryan was up front, and we worked at McDonald's for, I don't know, how long was it, Ryan?
Oh, a couple of years. Actually, it was like, I think from that point forward, that was like one of the best jobs I ever had. Like, I mean, I don't know. It was fun. It was a great entry level position for sure. It was fun. It takes me back. I would go to McDonald's. It's my son's favorite place in the world, and we try to limit it. But when I go in there, I can never forget the smell.
Oh, yeah.
Like, smell of that place smells exactly like it did however many years ago that was. It's kind of funny.
They probably made the fries like that long ago. They've had this stockpile in like Kansas somewhere.
Yeah. I see some notes here that people say I look and sound like Seth Rogen. That is absolutely not the first time I've heard that. I hear it everywhere I go. So, yeah, it doesn't surprise me.
You just change your name to Seth. I love how you guys go from running a McDonald's when you're 14 and 15 to running the real estate market when you're, however old you are. I'm not going to release that info. Okay.
I will say though, like to hit on that, Fred, like the first question I ask in every interview, we talked about this, is what was your first job? And I think there's a lot to be said, and this offends some people depending on who you're asking that question to, because if they answer it wrong, I change the subject really quick. But there's something about people, and I've hired and fired a lot of people. I've had a lot of great people and a lot of people that didn't work out, and that question screams out work ethic. Like, you can't take a personality test and you can see all the right answers that you want to see on a personality test, but it's not going to test them for work ethic. And I'm not saying that if you got your first job out of college that you don't have great work ethic, but there's a few things that I've found correlation to success, and it's someone really young, whether it's like mowing lawns for $20 or $10 back then. It's competitive athletes and military. I will hire, if people, those are the three things, one of those things I look for in every single person. And it's proven. Like, and again, when I look back, most entrepreneurs I know, they started working early because they wanted to make money and they wanted to do something. So I'm trying to, take that with my 15-year-old and, kind of force her to get that job right now and get out the door. But I do think that's something that I'm going to try to, instill in my kids as well.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I did all sorts of crazy stuff. So there's actually I can't tell you that I would ever have thought, 6 weeks ago, 8 weeks ago, or whatever it was, that I'd be sitting here doing a Zoom call with you guys. Like, I hang out with you guys, I talk to you guys, we do shit together. Now we're sitting here and can't even like go to each other's houses or, see each other. And, like, our businesses have, fundamentally haven't changed, but they've changed in so many ways, and we've had to adapt and do things differently. And what do you think the things that we're doing now, this time, is going to change for forever? Or what do you hope things will change forever?
Ian, do you want to start with that one?
You start.
Okay. It's tough. I think that unrelated business first. I think that with everything going on, I think this is going to instill a lot of good practice for us to wash our hands and be safe. Just to really be mindful of, just that this shit happens. We watch these movies. What's that movie? Oh God, there was that movie. Fred,
Contagion?
Yes. Oh my God.
Oh, damn.
It hits so close to home, right? And it just puts a perspective in your head, like, okay, really, this stuff is real. I personally have 3 friends that currently have it, and one of them almost passed away. And it's it's a reality, right? So I think taking this forward, like it's going to be very important to kind of just keep in mind that this stuff is real and to take it seriously. Right now, keep that social distance because that's what's going to keep us healthy. And I have to think about that more than most because, I do have a scenario where, my wife is immunosuppressed. So I'm basically immunosuppressed. I can bring it back to her. So that's something that I always have to keep in mind everywhere I go. I have to wear a mask. I have to wear gloves. I have to wash my hands constantly. And I don't think that's going to go away. I think that naturally, now that I have more of a perspective of her world, which has always existed ever since she had a transplant, she's always had an immunosuppressant. So for me, like it's kind of it's a complete mind shift in business. It's hard to say. I think that I think there's going to be a lot of opportunities down the road. Right now, it's a time to chill, be a little bit more conservative. Pump the brakes on acquisitions that are, buying a lot under a lot less than you normally do, right? Some people, it's like, oh, 20%, we'll make that 30. Like you have to kind of adjust to what the unknown is going to happen, right? I think that, for me, like I specialize in foreclosure acquisitions. That's kind of where I started my roots. I think that there's going to be, I think that's going to come around again, unfortunately, really. But there's going to be a lot of opportunities for us to be able to hit that hard. Not only with the moratorium that's going on right now, but the, year and a half, 2 years down the road, I think we're just going to see a lot of it. And I don't think that this is going to go away anytime soon. I think people are going to hit a lot more, there's going to be a lot more bumps down the road with the effect. I got a friend that lives in Las Vegas, and they were saying that the win, it's they've kept all their employees on, and it's $3 million a month to keep themselves alive, and they're running out of money. So what happens? That's going to be a major economical effect on that city, right? Someplace where we all like to go, we all like to have fun. So who knows? I mean, that right there can really change a lot of things. So a lot of unknown, but it's just being more conservative, I think, just kind of really thinking about your next moves.
Hashtag don't buy in Vegas.
Don't buy in Vegas.
Dang.
Yeah.
That's interesting to think about. So, we said at the beginning of the call that we're going to take the last 15 minutes and have some Q&A and try to do some live Q&A. This may not work out, but we're going to try. So if you have a question, you raise your hand, and then we're going to try to bring you on the panel, and then you can, just like you're sitting in front of us or in the crowd or whatever, we're going to try to do that. But we do have one question that hasn't gone answered. Actually two. And Megan, do you want to try to jump on here and talk to us? And so you can say hi to your Ever guys. I'm not sure if we can try to do that or not. What do you think, Megan? You in? Are you still here? Stalling.
Hi.
Stalling. I think Megan is here.
We can answer that question.
Yeah, we can answer it. I mean,
okay, yeah, let's just answer.
That's a question for you, Fred. How's the hard money private lending guidelines changed? Why don't you take that one, Fred?
And then maybe we can work on Ofer coming on here and asking a question too. Because he's got another one too. I'm not sure if we can work on that on the back end. Hard money, dude. That's okay. I guess I am the best dude to answer this, but I should probably drink first. It's been a wild ride. Black cherry White Claw is definitely my favorite. Other people think it tastes like cough syrup, but I love it. Don't hate. Yeah. So the hard money biz is, oh, sorry, squirrel. One of my chromies is here. You guys want to see him?
Yeah, let's take a look.
Do it.
I'm not sure if you guys can see. I got it on my laptop, but I guess you see it like that right at the edge of the.
Is it to the left there?
Right out near my gate is a little black crow.
Oh, yeah, I see one of them. Is that Bill or Sue?
I don't know. Yeah, we can't tell between the two. They're just black crows. But Billy and Sue, they're hanging out. I think we might have lost Billy. It's just Sue. Who knows?
That's funny.
It's a super professional video. It was totally produced. So, and my mental health state is definitely in question.
That's for all of us right now.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
amen. Quarantine. So
That's kind of one of the first questions to ask. How's your mental health these days? Like,
so I have my best friends. It's called Billy and Sue. They're two little crows. Okay, sorry. So the more, yes. 6 weeks ago, there was just a vibrant, wide, healthy. He's in the house. Vibrant, wide, healthy secondary market for hard money, and for non-QM for that matter. And that completely imploded like damn near overnight. It was over about 2 weeks that people would originate a loan under someone else's guidelines, they would fund it, and then they would sell it somewhere else. And so they didn't have a balance sheet. They didn't have anything to they didn't have the ability to hold loans. They would just roll through it. Say they had like a couple, $3, $5, $7 million, and they would just use that over and over and over again and recycle and sell. And every company that did that, or that got stuck with loans that they didn't want, or they couldn't handle financially or whatnot, they just got smoked. Like it literally went away. So the companies that you see that are doing now are companies that actually have balance sheets. They're companies that are doing loans under their own underwriting guidelines and then actually keeping those loans, because the secondary market just doesn't exist. And in terms, for me, and just from a business perspective, 6 weeks ago, 8 weeks ago, I was doing stuff that was like, 7.5 and 1.5 points. And I don't have to do that anymore. And I don't want to make loans into a market that I'm just supremely unsure. So like just Rain City in general, or our underwriters, we have just, pulled the reins back drastically. Even probably, like Ian said, we're probably overcorrecting a little bit because we don't know what's going to happen. But I tell you what, when I start to feel, and we collectively feel together that we are, hey, where are you going, bro? You're about to ask a question. I like the gaming chair though.
I like the beach.
Yeah, I like the beach too. He's got. I want to see your gaming setup just in a minute, so maybe you can show it around. But I will. I've been quietly raising capital, and we will go full bore. And I think that there is going to be a giant opportunity to help a lot of real estate investors crush it in this market. But until that time, we are chilling, and we're only doing deals that make sense. And it makes sense for both you and us. So yeah, that's how we changed.
So I have a question.
Shoot, is it appropriate or inappropriate?
Appropriate.
Okay. Do you have a drink?
No, that's fine.
It's happy hour, man. Come on. All right, we'll let it pass. What do you got?
Yeah. So I've been saving. I have 210 saving for this time, and as Ryan said, I should not buy anything right now, but I'm looking to buy rental. So I have 3 locations I'm looking at. First is my backyard, it's Everett. Second is Spokane Valley. I already have a rental over there. And third is out of state, like Tennessee, because I have a team there. Tennessee, Clarksville, Tennessee. So should I just wait like for a while to see like which market gonna get hit, and I will looking for a rental. And if I wait and that happen, then what market I should focus at? My backyard or Spokane or out of state?
I could start.
Go for it.
I don't think there's ever a time you should not be looking for a deal. You should just adjust your criteria, right? And so like you might scale down your criteria a little bit and be more conservative. I like all 3 of those markets. Clarksville, are you working with Jennifer in that area?
Yes.
Yeah, so she's amazing. She's got a great team. If she comes up with an opportunity, maybe look for a little better opportunity than you've been looking for now with everything going on. But the reality is the cost of capital is extremely low. And when you're looking over, I don't know how long let me ask that question. Like, how long are you planning on holding these things for? Do you have an idea? Is this a long?
Forever.
Yeah. So, I mean, always be buying that. I mean, the reality is we're going to come back and correct. And whether you buy now or you buy later, lower 10% higher, you're still buying and locking in a low cost of capital that you're going to have for the next 20 to 30 years. It's like looking at your 401k and stressing when you're not going to cash out for 30 years. It's not really, I wouldn't worry about it. I would just lower your buying criteria a little bit because of the time that we're in.
Yeah, now might be a good time to actually pick up a few rentals, right? Because sellers are starting to learn that in some areas and some particular deals that they have to kind of lower their prices a little bit. If you're getting into a rental and holding it for 20, 30 years down the road, no matter what, the market's always going to go up. I mean, history always has proven that real estate will go up. So getting into something now, as long as you have good financing in place and you have a plan and an exit strategy to make what you want to do, make it happen. I think that it's always a good time to buy a rental for sure. It's the quick in and outs that could get you, right? If you don't have the means or the cash to be able to hold something right now, you shouldn't. I mean, technically probably shouldn't be buying unless you have a really good opportunity to kind of get in and out. Because that's where you're going to get hurt.
Right now, I've been targeting properties that are in Tacoma and that are tenant occupied, but the property owners are unable to continue making the payments because their tenants aren't making the payments. I think that might be a very small sliver of an opportunity that I've personally been looking at because I have several rentals in Tacoma and I love that market. So that's what I'm doing.
Just adjust your criteria, but you've got cheap money, which makes it a great time to buy.
So should I just focus on like small rental property, like 1 to 4 unit, like 4 unit, or should I just go all out and focus on like buying like 8 to 10 unit right now because I'm capable too?
I'm looking at multifamily. I'm looking for cash flow always. So I think that whether it's 1 through 4 or whether you're going 5 to 10, I think that if you have financing set up, and make sure that you have financing set up on that 5 to 10, because that's when you're getting to commercial and portfolio, opposed to Fannie Mae is like the most reliable lending source right now. So as long as you have financing set up on that commercial and you find a great opportunity in Clarksville or wherever, then yeah, I definitely think you should take advantage of that.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thanks for coming on, man. I appreciate it.
And Matthew Nicholson just added something. Make sure you have 6 months reserved to start or something. So yeah, just cash is king right now. And where in the past, 2 months ago, I might have leveraged that, take that 210,000 and leverage everything. I might make sure that I'm not spending all 210 right now. I would make sure that I'm spending less and keeping more in the bank, just to be safe.
Oh, okay.
Matthew also asked a question. He said, exit out of a current flip when I've spent money that I can't draw. I mean, there's some situations that you're not going to be able to get out of right now. You kind of have to stick to the plan or try to make it, think outside the box a little bit. Think about people, if you're short on cash, do you have other investors or other partners that would be willing to take the risk to come in with you? Do you have maybe another investor that would be willing to take you out as is to take over the project? I mean, it really kind of just depends on your cash situation, how much work left you have to do. It really is just kind of what's the best case scenario for me right now in the situation that I'm in. You're not going to be able to get out of every single deal you can, but right now I have a deal that I haven't started construction yet with. I'm just going to wholesale it. If I'm halfway through the job, it's hard to really kind of have somebody take over with permits open and things like that. You kind of have to go to the finish line. But it's just thinking about like what's the best way to get out of something with losing the less amount of money or making the most amount of money, I should say, really. So every situation is going to be different and unique.
Awesome. Hey, Ofer, how's it doing, dude? Yeah, you're on mute, bro. Unmute yourself. Hey,
good, buddy.
It's happy hour. Where's your drink?
I've got my vape. Is it okay?
Yeah, sure. I guess it's happy hour, man.
Hey, each one and their own poison. That's the saying we have back home, right?
To each their own is the American version of that.
Yes. So I was, my original question is, how does underwriting and excessive amounts of alcohol work together? Is this why the interest rates are really going up?
It's actually funny. I was talking to a guy yesterday, day before yesterday, and I was talking to him about how all these contract underwriters are working from home. I'm like, that might be a problem. They're hiring people like mad just to get through these loans. Actually, we do a Zoom call. Rain City does every Friday, and there may have been a few times there's an underwriter or two, or I think they're probably the most stressed out right now, and so they're drinking the most. So I'm like, okay, and it's like let's have a call with them, once every morning. It's like, okay, you guys good? You guys have a good weekend? Are you sober now? Yeah, I don't know. I think that there's so much oversight and compliance. I really don't think it's gonna really have a significant impact. But shit, who knows, man? Like, who thought there was gonna be a pandemic? It wasn't me.
And suddenly, a little alcohol, and you hear the news, and maybe you think about investing, in a shooting range or in an alcohol shop, if this is where future income is going to be. So
look for opportunities everywhere. They're all
Fred already is flipping bottles of wine, so it don't matter.
That's true. The premium wine market is kind of like, it's a little iffy, but the lower market on wine is strong.
Hey, soon we'll be trading frozen meat, guys. I just heard that some meat processing factories are being shut down, and people expect to have some disruptions to the food supply. So this is
you just watch the movie Game Changers, and that'll give you a little boost for a while. You can go be vegan for at least a month or two, and that'll calm everything down. Is that all you got, Ofer?
No, actually, I have a real question.
Okay, go, because we're running short on time.
Right. So I'm a developer. I buy single families and I demolish them and build apartment buildings. And luckily for us, we are in the middle of planning for 5 different projects. We're not under construction for any one of them. We just completed last year, and we're planning a batch of new. And we were lucky enough that SDCI, Seattle planning, they do everything through Zoom now. So actually, we keep working the same. I'm actually happier because I don't have to go there and waste money on parking and 2 hours drive, and I don't have to wear nice clothes. So for us everything is the same. But looking into the future, we're looking 6 to 12 months when we get permits. This is when things get a little bit hairy, because our assumptions about rental income are yet to be seen. Is it going to keep the same? We'll see in May, in June, how many people keep, paying their rents. Are the banks going to have money to loan for construction? Or what, if I just keep holding these and just focus on, the next year or so on acquiring foreclosure or cheaper properties, is it going to justify getting financing? What I'm saying is that although the rental market looks like it's going to get hit, we don't know if we're going to have money for construction. What are your thoughts or beliefs regarding how the multifamily market is going to be like in the next year?
I think Ofer, I think more than anyone on this call a lot of those answers on in the business that you're in. I will tell you my perspective on when this is a great time to build. I think you're in a good spot. The fact that you haven't broke ground on anything and you have the options. One interesting perspective is if the cost of construction drops significantly in the next year or two, that's when I would pull the trigger, because cost of construction has been so high for so long. And if you really take your acquisition price of that piece and then you add on that bloated construction budget that you've been penciling for the last couple of years, and that decreased significantly in the next year or so, that might be a great opportunity for you to build then, regardless of what's happening in the market.
And I think another question is what is going to happen to the construction market? I think you mentioned you don't think it's going to drop, but and I don't know, I'm not saying it doesn't, but I think a lot of small-time builders and flippers are now looking for work. So maybe some of them, do things, behind the scenes. Maybe some of them just started working for one of the bigger companies that are maybe doing projects for the government, or they're now hiring because they're, considered to be essential. So, maybe in 6 months we will see even less workers, or maybe we will see more workers and they'll be starving. So I don't think anybody knows how the pendulum goes. What I do know is that I have about 40 to 50 million dollar construction budget, and I don't know if I'm going to have someone to build it. And I'm saying, hey, you know what, if someone is cutting 15 or 20% out of that's $7 to $10 million of profit, maybe I'll just get the crew and do it for $10 million less. And this is my discount, because I have so many projects and I can't count on anybody else.
Yeah, and to revise my answer to that previous question, I don't think the construction prices are going to drop initially. Like,
yeah, it's going to be a bit.
Drop right out of the gate. But do I think that they're going to drop in the next year? Most definitely. I mean, the last recession depleted a large number of subcontractors in general and laborers in the industry, right? They got out of the business because no one was building for so long. So I think that there's still a high demand for them initially, but I do think that there could be an opportunity in the next 6 months to 2 years where you can see your $50 million construction budget drop to 7 to 10 million, like you said, and that's an amazing opportunity regardless of what the value of your land is at the time.
And I think this has a greater impact on the net cash flow than anything else. If you look at the main cost of those apartment buildings, you buy them as an investor. I build them, but the main cost is construction, and see that's 80%.
Exactly.
When I started a business and I got the the land for like a 80K less or 100K less, I was, woohoo, I'm going to make so much money in this apartment building. But then, construction budget is $10 million, so who cares about 80K? So if you can shave this, then
yeah,
loan
the bigger number.
Yeah,
so we gotta wrap up pretty quick here, but I'll tell you a little story. There's friends that I have 2 kids, and they're both technology workers, and they both live in downtown Seattle. They cannot get out of their house fast enough. And you think about, there's a little bit of a fear for living in places like this where you have to press the button to get on the elevator, and you have to like use a key to get in the door and pull the door open and whatnot. Like, we have an REO in Ballard, and I went there and I was like, how do I get in here, right? I've also been sitting in my house for like a month. So I think that there's in the short term, there is an effect on, basically apartment living, or I guess, for lack of a better term, like mandatory apartment living. If you can go and live somewhere else, like, people used to live in snow days for like 2 or 3 days and like, oh, I can't stand it with my kids. Well, guess what? Like, school might not start until January next year. So if that's the case, people are just going to bounce from everywhere they can and then go to the burbs where they have a little bit of room. That's also a short-term problem. I agree with you, and I think that this over time is going to push. Like, there's going to be a lot of people that are just going to sit on unemployment because they can, and they're getting paid significantly, an extra $600 just to be on unemployment. So it's going to be a little bit of a ride. That
I think that's part of the opportunities we were talking about. Like if you were to wait for that construction pricing to come down, I mean, like Ian said, you're going from 40 to 50 to 7 to 15 or whatever. That's an incredible opportunity. Is something as small as waiting for construction costs to come down. Unfortunately, we don't know what's going to happen. I do think that initially it is going to be kind of it's going to take a while for everybody to catch up. The projects are going to go slower. I think that the prices are going to be a little higher just because of availability of materials and labor. But ultimately, I think I agree with Ian. I think that it definitely will hit a time, because when recession hits, people are unemployed, people go away, and they're going to want to.
Ofer, thanks for coming on, man. We appreciate you. It's good to see your face, even though it's on Zoom. We're 5 over. But all I gotta say is this is our first crack at it. Thank you guys so much for being on here at the Morell Brothers. I love you
Yeah.
guys. You
Love
guys
you too,
are you guys are men. My secret weapons. Real Talk with Rain City. Round 1 complete. Next time, if you come on, you better have a drink. A vape is not really a drink, but I didn't want to be rude, you know. Last question. In quarantine, as we wrap up, what is your drink of choice?
You know what? You see these two right here, right there.
Yep.
See those guys?
A red something. Red something.
Get
Oh.
your phone out if you're a whiskey drinker. I happen to have a pretty good whiskey collection, and let me just tell you, I bought 3 bottles of this. It's $6. It's Japanese. It's a coffee grain whiskey. It is so freaking good.
Hey, put that back up there. I want to take a picture. What is it?
It's backwards, but it's Nika coffee.
Nika coffee grain whiskey. Yeah.
It's like $66, and I bought 3 of them. Well, I bought 1, and then I bought 2 more right after because I drank the bottle in like a week. It's so good. I don't want to touch anything else. So the best value that I have in my entire collection. So I think that's you're welcome for that. You can thank me later. If
anybody's ever seen Mr. Ian Morell's collection, it is quite impressive. So I actually
say value.
I go to him for my my thoughts too and questions like what should I get? But for me, it's been I'm a huge fan of Jameson Irish whiskey. It's like my jam. So that's what I've been sipping on. It's my drink of choice. I'll keep it up.
Good work. Well, thank y'all for coming. I appreciate it. We're gonna bounce off of here. We're gonna do it next week too, and until people stop showing up, we're probably gonna come and try to add value to people's lives and have a little happy hour at the same time. Anyway, thanks y'all. Thank you guys. I appreciate it. Thanks for coming, and stay safe.